Hi, guys, and welcome back. We have a special guest today, and we're really excited. Joseph, who is the writer or poet of Zombierella and other books as well. But I'm really excited to have a conversation with Joseph and find out all about him, really, and his book, and also a new project that's coming across too. So, welcome, Joseph.
Thanks, Davina. Thanks, Sadé. Thanks for having me.
Oh, it's a pleasure. So, straight on to the questions.
The first question is, Frankenstein is your latest collaboration. What was the inspiration behind this story?
Oh, that's a great question. My starting point for all the fairy tales gone bad is the title. And I've always liked the story of Rumpelstiltskin, which is about a young girl who gets taken by a king to spin hay into gold. And so I was thinking about that story, and I love monster stories like Frankenstein and Dracula. And I thought, how could I put these different elements together? And when the title of Frankenstiltskin popped into my head, I thought, that's it. I thought, instead of spinning hay into gold, she's a taxidermist and she stuffs animal skins and is wanted by a king to bring animals back to life. So once I had that sort of kernel of an idea, it just kind of ran away, and the whole world sort of built up from there. But the fairy tales and monsters was the starting point.
Oh my gosh, that sounds
so creative.
Yeah, and amazing. Woo! Really can't wait. Okay, so next one.
Why is poetry so important?
Oh, I think poetry is so important because it translates the soul. It kind of tells us it puts into words what we're thinking and what we're feeling inside. And it's very hard to communicate how we feel and to communicate experiences. But because poetry plays with language and finds similarities between things, uses lots of different poetic devices like similes and metaphor to make us think about things in different ways, I think it's very effective at helping others understand how we feel, and also to help you express how you feel. Like I believe strongly that everyone is a poet, and as soon as you write a poem, you're a poet, and poetry is for everyone. And it's a great tool for putting down onto paper what's going on inside. So if I feel angry, I might write an angry poem. If I feel sad, I might write a little sad poem. If I feel happy, I might write a happy poem. But it's all there to help me process what's going on in my head and in my heart, and to help share that with others. So that's why it's so important.
No, definitely. And correct me if I'm wrong, but poetry is like there's no rules kind of thing, or it's just being creative, as you said, just being creative. And that's what I quite like about it. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. I think it, like poetry, that you can get different types of poems where there are patterns and there are rules that you can stick to if you want. But once you know those rules, you can totally break them. And that's what I like about poetry. It's like it does both things. Like it can have rules if you want, or it can have absolutely no rules.
Yeah.
So I often play with different forms of poems, like Shakespearean sonnets or haikus. But once you know the patterns to make those sorts of poems, you can break them. And so, yeah, you're totally right. There are no rules. The rules are that there are no rules.
Cool.
The next question is, what inspired you to be a poet?
I was inspired. So when I was young, when I was about your age, Sadé, I didn't realize I could be a poet. I never really saw anyone who looked like me having a job as a poet or as an author. So there was no one in my family who was a writer. So I knew that I kind of liked stories and writing, even though it took me a while to catch up because I was behind everyone else in my class when it came to literacy. But then when I was in sixth form, the poet Jean Binter-Breeze, the sadly late poet, recently passed away. She came to my school and she read a poem about the softest touch. And I remember her sitting on our school stage reading this poem. And that was the first time I realized that it could be a job, that there were people that looked like me, sort of working as poets and writers. And that one session that she did with my class has always stayed with me. And I was very lucky to many years later have the privilege of like sharing the stage with her on a poetry project I was doing. And I told her, I said, "Oh, you came to my school. I don't know if you remember, you came to my school." And she was so lovely about it. I'm sure she didn't remember because poets get to go to lots of different schools. But she was so sweet and kind about it. So that was a huge inspiration for me. And then other poets and other writers like Michael Rosen and John Hegley and Jacob Sam LaRose, who's a wonderful educational poet, and Lem Sissay, who does amazing poetry up and down the country, normally on buildings. So yeah, I've been lucky to meet lots of fantastic poets who have been an inspiration to me over the years.
Oh, that sounds awesome. It's nice that you got that inspiration from school as well, and then following it on as you got older and got into it. Yeah, we really enjoy your style of work, and we love how diverse and how
it is.
Yeah, and it's the representation of it as well, and the illustrations work really well as well. Freya did like an amazing job. Like, it's really good. You guys work really well together.
It's better than my like school poems because in primary school,
no names.
Because in primary school we'd have like printed ones from like websites that we had to read for guided reading, and they didn't really have characters who look like me. For Zombierella, I guess I can understand because she looks like me. There's other characters that look like me too, and the description and illustrations. Normally, there's no poems with illustrations because you can memorize them, but like have a picture in your mind. But you can have it without any pictures, and it will still be good with this book.
Thank you so much for that. That really lifts my heart that you said that, because I totally felt the same like growing up, and it takes sometimes like you don't realize the impact not seeing yourself in books has. As you know, I'm a 41-year-old man, and then when I watched like Black Panther, I was like close to tears because I'd never down. But it's like I've never seen superheroes on the big screen celebrated in that way that I could relate to, and it really surprised me how kind of emotionally moved I was, because we do read a lot into the characters that we see, and you want to see yourself represented because you put yourself in their shoes. And that's why it's so important that stories are told where there are a whole variety of characters and people represented, because I also don't only want to read about people who look like me. I want to read about the world.
Definitely.
So it's like it's useful for everyone to read about characters that look different, that are a variety. So yeah, thank you for saying.
And it's a bit like with us as well, with our like magazine. It is for Black girls, but not only for Black girls, it's for everyone. But we want to show that there's so much diversity out there that we want to put it in. We want to show books like this because it's only a small percent, and hopefully it's going to be bigger. But we're just trying to be part of that percent where we want to shout about it and like celebrate it. So yeah, we're really like lucky to have yourself and other writers, and it's just been great. Yeah, it's been a good journey. Cool. Next one.
How did you develop your own poetic style?
You probably said it a little bit in the last question, but yeah.
You're right.
Oh, that's a good question though. So I started out in poetry as a performance poet. So after school, I went to university, but I studied archaeology. So like the study of the physical past, digging up skeletons in Peru for a while. But I was writing poetry, and I was a bit shy to share it. And then I remember sharing my first poem at the Poetry Society in Covent Garden. And I remember being really scared, really nervous, but just getting up on stage and sharing my words. And then I kept doing that. It's like I got hooked on doing performance poetry. And the more poems I performed, the more I kind of discovered my voice. So I found the kind of poems that I like to write, the kind of poems that were getting good responses from audiences. And it's through that process of like writing and honing your skill that you discover your voice, and that you get better and stronger at having a voice. So yeah, through that process of writing and performing and sharing my work.
What advice can you give to young aspiring poets?
Oh, my advice would be always carry a notebook wherever you go, because you never know when an idea is going to hit you. And they always come at the kind of least convenient times. So it might be in the middle of the night that you get an idea. So you've got to have your notebook by the side of your bed so you can wake up and scrawl in it, whatever the crazy idea is. Or when you're at school, maybe in the playground or during lunchtime, you've got to have a scrap of paper on you so that if an idea hits or someone says something that strikes you as interesting, you can write it down. And that way, when you are sitting down to write on a piece of paper or on a screen, you're not left with having no ideas. You've got this repository of ideas that you can draw upon. And I always have my notebook, which is here. So this is my notebook, which has lots of little notebooks inside. And I index all the pages. So there's page numbers on every single page. And then when I fill up an individual notebook, that goes out into a little folder. And then in that folder, I have several notebooks. And there's an index of all the different ideas. And so when I'm ready to write a new picture book or a new poetry collection, I go to my folders and I check through the ideas. And so many times there's things I've written that I've forgotten, ideas that I've had that I totally forgot about, and I need to see them. And then I go, oh yeah, I had that idea about the elephant that liked skiing. And so then that becomes a story. So notebooks.
Yeah. No, that's really good. Because I'm a graphic designer. So I have
and like files on the iPad.
Yeah, so I've got like Pinterest, but then I've got loads of different like screenshots and stuff and just keep them all together.
Yeah.
And it's a good idea because then you can go back and say, oh yeah, I could do that. But yeah.
I always get really jealous of like visual artists because everything you have is always like so beautiful. And and things like you can use Pinterest to just create like a repository of visual ideas.
Like yeah. It
always looks so great. It's kind of slightly harder to do with text to make it look nice. It's got beautiful handwriting.
No, it is hard, but I found that since I've been doing the magazine, I just love the idea that I have these interviews and I bring them to life with, like, as you said, you had your notebook, but I've got all my visuals as well, and then bring that all to life. And that includes text. So yeah.
Pinterest is the best thing.
Yeah.
Like for anything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. We have quick fire round questions that are really exciting. Let's see. Right. Do you want to go? First one.
You have one superpower. What would it be?
Invisible flight.
Ooh.
So I could fly and be invisible.
That's a good one. That you can be invisible and you can fly.
Yeah. And like an invisibility field. So I could make things around me invisible as well. And then I could fly about, be invisible.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That's a good one.
Really cool.
What would yours be?
Oh,
I never ever thought of that because no one really asked me. But thank you. I guess I'll be flying.
Flying would be cool, wouldn't it?
Yeah. Or maybe, or like if you can have like explosion hands.
Explosion hands?
Yeah, because I was watching this anime and then the guy had hands that you can like catch on fire.
Oh.
Oh, nice.
You can like throw it. It's like grenades on your hands and then fire just comes out of it. It's really random, but yeah.
That scare people.
I know.
Yeah.
Got to be careful with it.
Yeah. What would yours be, Davina?
Oh, this may sound a bit weird, but reading people's minds.
I'd be so scared.
I know, but there'll be only like certain ones, so there'll be the ones that I want to read. Sorry.
That is kind of like there's like so much advantage and so much disadvantage.
I know there is, but yeah, it'll be interesting.
Yeah.
Maybe not. I don't know.
Yeah.
Okay, the next one.
Your favorite season?
Oh, that's hard. Like I really like autumn because of, I like gardening and all the crops coming in and stuff like that. But I live near the sea now, and in summer I get to go swimming a lot. And so I think, and I can only really do that a lot in summer. So I think summer, when we've had rubbish weather recently, but it's supposed to be hot the next 2 weeks. So I'll be swimming lots and getting out onto the sea. So summer. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. The next question is, have you got any hidden talents?
I can almost speak Spanish.
Oh, yeah.
That's a good one.
Yeah. I'm kind of learning. I'm getting better.
Oh, that's good. So are you reading your Spanish version?
One thing I read all the kind of reviews that I get on Instagram for it, which has been really good for my Spanish. But I realised that there's a lot of language that I've put in the book which I don't know in Spanish. So there'll be lots of, and the translations are slightly different. Not hugely so, I think, just to make more sense in Spanish. So I want to get there. I want to get to that point where I can just read Zombicienta in Espanol.
Oh, cool. Oh, wow, this has been amazing. We're really excited, still excited that we're actually having a conversation with you. We're so happy. Thank you so much for joining us. And guys, the lovely Joseph and Freya will be in our birthday issue. We'll have a full interview with them. So that would be really good. And you can get to read that.
Yeah.
And we just wanted to say thank you so much. And thank you. Bye.
Bye.